NOBBELcast, the podcast beyond World of Warcraft.
How we doing, everybody? Back to the MoCast episode 3, and today we have a throwback to the very first episode of the MoCast with none other than Mr. Nobbel87. A warm welcome. What up, Mr. Nobbel?
Good morning. What an energy this early. I'm still on my second cup of coffee. I'm still a bit mellow.
Yes, if you weren't able to tell everybody, we are drinking coffee. So if you're watching this in the morning, have a cup of coffee with us and enjoy
the chat,
the talk.
Yes, because it's been an early morning. I had to take the dog out and take him to the what's it called? Make him clean and beautiful and cut his hair and the grooming. Right, and whenever he comes out of that, he has to take a shit and piss and play around and all of that. So I got my energy early on, although it was
sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're sharing a coffee with Nobbel because the last time I think we shared other stuff. Well, I know
it was definitely water.
It was we can call it water for sure. So let's just get into it, man. Nobbel, first of all, thank you once again for joining, man. You're kind of, I would say, a pioneer of this show at this point, because you were the first one to get into it, and it still amazes me that I'm looking and seeing you there and hearing your voice.
How many episodes have you guys done now in total?
This is the 18th episode.
16,
we have
15. Oh, you've been busy.
Yeah, well, we decided to make it on seasons, right? So we had 15 episodes for the first season. And now we started with season 2 with the new year. We took the holiday break and all that. And this time around, we started off with Hazel. That was the first thing. Because, we tried to get her on board for quite a long time.
Yeah, it was a weird segment. We were very lucky to get you first because then, pre-patch started, then launched Shadowlands, and
let's not beat around the bush, man. Having Nobbel for the first guest helped out a lot. I mean, I was like, oh, who are these guys, right? So come on. But all right,
which one has been the favorite so far?
Well, obviously yours.
There's no answer.
Besides mine, obviously. Is there anyone that stands out or anything that stands out, like a moment?
I think. We had some more deep ones, actually. Some more, I don't know. There was one that always keeps popping up, the Stoops one.
Yeah, the Stoops one was very emotional, I feel.
Yeah, because the dude was super open on talking, about, his struggles and overcoming them. And it was inspiring. And as well as, talking to him and him talking to us kind of made us all realize that we should be more grateful for what we do and what we have and stuff. So it was like, therapeutic was thrown around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Nobbel from our first episode that when we talked about what inspired you and stuff like that, you said that at some point you were following Bajira and he said that, there's Nobbel. He's the story dude. Hey, man, I'm working on my own story. And I wanted to ask you, how is your story developing so far, my man? From that
really well. Well, in the case of Bajira, now that you mentioned it, that's mainly in the health department, of course, because Bajira is a beast. And God, when was it last year? When was it the last time that we spoke each other? What month were we looking at?
In July. Last year.
In July.
More than half a year.
Yeah, so at that point in time, I was already 4 or 5 months into getting healthier, and I've been sticking with it, despite lockdown, despite Christmas and all that. I'm actually stepping it up into another direction again. I've gotten a new food expert who is telling me, just before the show, I read the email, I need to eat more potatoes and whatnot. I need to eat a lot more. But no, health-wise is going great. Also started seeing someone. We're getting to our 4th month now, so that's nice.
Hello! Good job, man.
Pepper that life with a little bit of love.
Imagine doing that in the pandemic. You got some skills.
During a pandemic, it's actually made things a whole lot better during the pandemic. I mean, you're supposed to stay inside anyways. Might as well cuddle up and have a nice time, right?
Amen to that, brother.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and work and whatnot. Like we've just gone out of the Shadowlands hype. That's why the timing on hey, you want to do this thing was just perfect. Because if you would have asked me a month ago, I wouldn't have had the time for it.
I can imagine.
But Shadowlands been fun. It's been crazy busy because I had this whole schedule for the month of December and January. I was like, I'm gonna do all the things and it's gonna be fantastic. But that schedule with the pandemic and Christmas and all that quickly went out of the window. Time just flies by. It's insane. But yeah, it's about done and just in time for February as well with the whole BlizzCon thing coming up.
Yeah. We're gonna talk a little bit more about WoW and stuff because now we have a lot of subject matter to get into for sure. But I did want to ask you. You mentioned the food expert thing, and I know in July you said you really wanted to like start getting into nutrition and learning more stuff and actually becoming more of a food expert yourself. Is that like the first step to get into that? Like talking to this guy and getting your game up, dieting wise.
This is more asking experts that already know about it. Like that was more talk about potential futures in which I might do an education on dietitian and figure out more stuff because I've always been invested in it. But this is purely for, look, this is what I've been doing the last year. I really want to get those last 5 kilos off and get the muscle building going. What would you recommend for me to eat? And they were like, well, if you do this, if you add that to your diet, you should be golden. I was like, okay, cool. I'll definitely adjust that. But in my case, it's more so like there's crash diets out there and there's like keto and whatnot. But for me, I've always found like there's a million different diets on the market, but you need to find the one that works for you because otherwise, everybody is different. Yeah. And I need something that I need to sustain on a multiple year basis. It needs to be simple, easy. I'm no chef. And they take that into consideration. They're like, oh, you can cook a potato? Well, then go eat potato with meat and vegetables.
What else do you need? It's potato and meat.
Perfect. It's perfect.
How's that going for you so far?
Good. Well, with December, obviously, you got like your Christmas, your New Year, my birthday. You're sitting down, you're feasting, you're celebrating. So it's a little bit on a halt. My goal was to maintain what I accomplished, and I did that. So that's great. Now it's going towards the summer and it's getting those final steps through, like breaking through the plateau because I feel like, the last 2-3 months I've been on the same spot. I want to break through it. Yeah. And this is hopefully going to be the push to get through it. Yeah.
But do you feel, I don't know, more energetic, more focused, more clear? I mean, I know we talked about, at that point you having a little bit of a struggle of all your life basically trying to lose weight. And I know that also impacts, productivity and state of mind, and obviously oxygen levels tend to circulate better to the brain when you're doing, exercise and eating well. How does that, how did that impact you once you started?
Well, when I started, I started out of pure desperation. Like I needed to go do something. I needed to get on my walks because just in a bad mind place. And those walks really, really helped to just turn it all off for a moment, just listen to the music and do your little circle, and it's great. Even though with the recent lockdowns and whatnot, there are a ton more people on the street. So instead of just doing my circle, I'm just now trying to avoid everybody, like get out of the way.
Swirling now.
Yeah. Please. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's a bit more difficult to be like not thinking about anything when you need to plan out your course and have people in the way. But regardless, it's still very nice. And the whole struggle of it, like, did it help tremendously? Like normally in the December period, I always slide in a little bit of a December depression because I live on the sunlight and I'm like a little flower. When I get the sun, I'm energetic and happy. When it's December, I'll just go into my cave and have a little nap until winter is over. But with the vitamins and the exercise and the relationship and all the other things, just keeping yourself busy. That also helps tremendously. Like a busy mind, happy mind. been pushing forward and pushing through it, and we're almost done. We're going towards the brighter days again, which is nice.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Hey man, I love the phrase. I'm just like a little flower. I love it. The Nobbel is just a little flower, guys.
You're gonna use it for something, aren't you?
Don't get it twisted. It's the best thing I've heard this morning.
It's true though. Oh, the sun is so nice. Even though I'm not like a beach goer or whatnot, it's the sunlight that gives you like the good vitamins. You're like, oh, it's a nice day out. Yeah. What could go wrong?
It's a nice perspective after we've been locked in for such a long time, because the sun obviously gives us energy. And it's always like after a long ass winter, and you go out and you get that sunny sky, and it's like I want to do some shit. That's pretty cool, right? And when you're locked
and then it's
in,
like I'm not allowed to do any shit. It's like, oh wow, okay, cool.
What do I do? But like you get this energy, right? And you get into this proper mindset. And you mentioned that in November and December you had like a pretty big schedule, and we saw, man, you were pumping some shit, especially with the whole Covenant stories and whatnot. Jesus, man, but it was super good. But that made me think, if you get into this mindset and start, obviously you have content to work with and start, organizing and stuff. I know I asked, I'm not sure if I asked you last time, but have you ever given the thought of trying something new in terms of YouTube? Because I know you stream some Hades, my dude. I popped in from time to time. You play some Hades, and you seem to love that shit. I love that shit too. But the question is, do you consider, somewhere in the future, maybe trying out a new channel? It doesn't necessarily have to be gaming. I don't know, something, nutritional wise, something, mindset wise, or I don't know, even gaming. Any talk
like divert the content. It's a thought that constantly runs through your mind. And in my experience, when it comes to YouTube or content creation, one of the best things you can do is separate the content from the creator itself. Like familiarize your audience with your face and who you are. We'll probably know a couple of YouTube channels where they'll cover WoW information, but they'll also make sure to put in like a segment of themselves just sitting behind the camera and talking about it.
Yeah.
That is purely there to familiarize the audience with the content creator and make it so that when the moment does come that you want to jump into different content, it's easier for the audience to follow them along because they recognize the face, they know who it is. And you can see that is a tactic being applied. In my case, I think it also flows back into the whole reason why I started this thing, because my idea was never to build up a YouTube channel and be known as the lore guy. My whole take behind this was just, first of all, like the video guides and all the other things that I made that we talked about last time. Yeah. At some point, I realized that people really enjoyed the story, and I love telling the story. That's kind of why I make the videos. But the idea of diverging the content and making different stuff is something that runs through mind every day. Like, should we reach that point, or should I find myself at a point where I want to do that? What kind of content do I want to do? But a big challenge when it comes to that is also engaging your audience. Because it's really nice for me to say, like, hey guys, I'm playing some Hades right now, or Binding of Isaac, or Legend of Zelda, or stuff like that. Things that I have uploaded in the past. You'll notice that the audience is just not interested in that. They are there for a specific thing, which is Warcraft lore.
True.
And that is why they come to the channel. And there is absolutely 100% nothing wrong with that. I love that people come to the Warcraft lore. It just makes it more of a challenge to be diverse in the content you create. Because it all takes time to make, right? Yeah. Any hour that I spend on making a Hades video is an hour that I don't spend on making Warcraft lore videos, which I know is what the audience is there for. So will I reach a point at some point in time where I will actually diverse the content? And I hope I used the right word, by the way, diverge.
Hey man, we're nailing a lot of words. The last time we did it too, so just go with it.
That's the word of the day.
So at some point, I'm hoping that my storytelling qualities will also transfer into other franchises or perhaps other storytelling things, because I really love doing that aspect. But who knows what the future might bring. For now, I still have plenty of content to cover when it comes to Warcraft. I remember like 6 or 7 years ago, I was doing a podcast where somebody asked me, like, do you think in a year or two you will have enough videos still left to do? Like, yeah, I think so. And then they came out with the Chronicles and then new expansions. So for now, I'm in a sweet spot. The idea of doing different content, it'll always something that runs in the back of your mind, always. It's just a matter of finding the time and the energy for it.
Yeah.
And amen. And in the sense of lore and anything like that, I can put my hand on my heart and say that you have a narrator's, a storyteller's voice. It's actually very nice. I mean, it's probably not the first time you're hearing about this, but yeah, you have the goods.
I mean, I told this to Hiro as well. There's been many nights of good sleep listening to WoW lore from Nobbel. I mean, it is what it is. Hey, man, it's a great compliment, man. You get the watch time, I get to sleep well, everybody wins.
That's what I hear for. I have heard that one a couple of times, like, Nobbel, I hope this isn't creepy, but you're the last voice that I hear at night before falling asleep. I'm like, no, it just warms my heart. I love it. Please never stop.
It's wonderful, man. Because your voice is so chill, and you have this delivery. I don't know if you ever took courses for this or something like that, but you have this really good cadence. And this is on lore videos, because now when we're talking, it's obviously it's a different flow. It's more, I don't know, natural conversational type stuff. But when you do the lore stuff, it's basically the narrator. I can always imagine your ass somewhere near a small fireplace, and all right, let's get into the lore, people.
I had the greatest education in that regard, and I'll tell you the secret to it. I used to babysit my cousins, and they would love bedtime stories. That was my school of, okay, this is how I'm gonna tell the story. It was great.
That's what was needed.
Best training to have for that. But yeah, you did mention this thing, on creating different content, and it is a big risk, because let's face it, YouTube now works in a way that kind of boxes you in, right? It basically delivers your content to an audience that is only interested in that, and if you try something else, I mean, I'm pretty sure you experimented in the past with different types of other stuff, and they just don't do well. And as you get the views, you get people reacting and loving it and stuff, but there's still that sense of, man, and as you said it, right? Like, I put this hour in this, when I could have put 1 hour in another lore video, and it would have had better engagement and results or whatever. That's the scary part, I believe, when thinking about new content. But maybe if you do a new channel, a brand new channel, Nobbel Hades, Nobbel Zelda, it'd be something else.
Fair enough, but again, it falls down to the whole time thing. But as you mentioned, like the Covenant videos during Shadowlands, it's something that you keep in mind, because it's not going to draw in the big numbers, and therefore it affects the videos that would draw in the big numbers. Yeah. It's a weird landscape to navigate yourself in, because you'll often find. Because on the one hand, you'll be making the same content over and over and over again, because you know that the YouTube algorithm really likes it and devours it. Yeah. On the other hand, there is the risk of people being like, well, you're just making the same content over and over and over again. So it's trying to find a middle road in that regard. At the same time, also sometimes just say F it and just make whatever you love making.
That's very true. Very true. And it is the true word here, man. Like that balance, because it's also in the mind too. I mean, you struggle. Most content creators struggle with this too. It's like, I'm doing the same thing over and over versus I need to do something new. It's something that it's really hard to like get in. And at some point, but hey man, whatever works for you. If you feel you feel supernatural doing whatever it is you do at this point, it should be good enough.
As long as the creative juices keep flowing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But okay, so we touched a little bit on World of Warcraft and the Covenants and stuff, and I see you pumping all that good juicy content on the Covenants. I'm pretty sure you absolutely loved Shadowlands. Just from the lore perspective, I think it's really rich and has a lot of fucking potential. So the first question regarding that is, what's your favorite Covenant story, and why?
Ooh, I think altogether, that will have to be the Venthyr Covenant, which is also why I chose it for my main character. The reason why, it's difficult to pick a favorite. It's easier for me to say which one I didn't like, which is the Necrolords. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that they've gotten a couple of chapters in there that are literally copy-pasted from the other Covenant campaigns, and there's like one of them that's unique. Interesting out of 8, right? Yeah. Bastion has the interesting thing with Uther going on. Artem, but it's you gotta enjoy it. I suppose I find it a bit too culty. Ardenweald is all over the place, which I really enjoyed lore-wise, but it's all over the place. It's not a cohesive Covenant storyline. So then you're left with the Venfir, and I find the Venfir really interesting. They're of course connected to the first raid, Castelnafria and the Nefrius. Beyond that, they introduce a well-known character from Azeroth, and you start partying with that character and learn more about that. There is a decisive goal that you're going after, a goal that they got in mind at the start, and it just keeps on going. And I love the characters like Teotar and the setting and the vampires, Dracula. For me, it's Venfir one.
100%, 100%. You do know that a lot of the Venture inspiration comes from the country we live in. We were very surprised to see a lot of Romanian names in there.
Yeah.
And we made a lot of...
I've had so many comments about the way that I pronounce the names. They're like, Nobbel, it's a Romanian name. You're doing it wrong. And I'm like, sorry, it's Nadja. It's Nadja the Mistblade. I'm sorry.
I actually agree with you, man, because this is actually really interesting because I'm a story nerd in the sense that I like stories. I always like stories growing up, and I read a lot of like folklore and stuff like that. So whenever I am a part of a story, like I don't know, either listening to it, reading it, watching it, or experiencing it in a game, I'm super interested in how they develop and how they deliver the story. And when they announced Shadowlands at BlizzCon, I was like, oh yeah, Maldraxxus. I'm totally a Necro boy. DK is one of my mains. Let's go. But then I think it was on Alpha, they released Venthir Revendreth first, so we actually had to do the story campaign. So the Revendreth was like, oh my god, this is pretty cool. It's like, this intrigue reminds me a little bit of Suramar, and it feels like the story is, I don't know if cohesive is the right word, but it definitely is on a solid track, and you kind of know where it's supposed to go. Either it ends up with like the Venthir population having their own leadership back, or if Sire's gonna fuck shit up. That's also really cool, and you kind of get attached to the characters. You get attached to obviously Teotar, who's fucking nuts, and it actually became my favorite story as well in Zone. I like the aesthetics, and it feels like, I don't know, it feels right. I don't know why. I don't know if it has a lot to do with the afterlife. Like the only concept that I found that it makes sense in Shadowlands is the sins part, and I don't think any other zone does this. I guess Ardenwell does the reincarnation theme of the afterlife. Revendreth does the you have to atone for your sins part. Bastion is like you said, it's like, okay, but I thought Uther was the good guy, and it's like so confusing. Yeah. It's like I want to root for the Kyrians, but you guys are making it so hard for me. It's like, and now you can be ascendant and get rid of your memories. Like, well, no. I thought that was bad though. So it's a little bit confusing, but I definitely see where you're going for. And as a story nerd, I recommend Venthir, best story so far.
Yeah, Bastion, I mean, it is interesting how they are actually finding a way of making a storyline in which you don't know who to root for, which is impressive on its own. Like, at first, you're like, cool, Bastion, Kyrians, and then you learn more about the path and what it entails. And both sides make some really solid arguments. I'm like, yeah. Huh. But then near the end of it, it's like, yeah, the Archon was right. It's just like, where did it go? What? There was like this really interesting storyline. And the big problem of Bastion is that it just jumps the shark really, really early on. Yeah. And I mentioned this during the Covenant videos as well. Devils should not have been a dungeon boss. Devils should have been at the end with Lysonia in the dungeon.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was very surprising. Weird. I thought Devos was the pioneer of the Forsworn. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, but why do I care about the Forsworn if I just be their leader? And like you said, that's what I felt. Like, okay, they had this really cool juxtaposition between the Kyrians and the Forsworn, where you kind of went, okay, I see that why you have to uphold order and have a discipline, but also personality, individuality, and being able to use your experiences to be a better soul or whatever is good. And then, like you said, it's like that all went away after a while, and it was like, okay, Forsworn are bad, and now I have to hate Uther all of a sudden. It's like, okay, man, but I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they had a much better potential with the Uther thing. I feel he was underused for that story and could have made it either much more tragic or much more impactful. I felt they just kind of wasted Uther's comeback, quote unquote, within the Shadowlands story. There's still things to come, obviously, but I don't know. I was really looking into the whole Uther plotline and getting into there, but it felt really underwhelming. Yeah. They had a bigger chance over there.
Well, like you said, there is still more to come. So I'm hoping that the Uther storyline is actually a build-up with dropping Arthas in the Maw, and a lot of people are hoping to see Arthas at some point. So hopefully to be continued. Yeah,
maybe a 9.3. It always felt like that because it always felt like, okay, the Uther stories shouldn't be over, because it felt like they were kind of building him to be this anti-hero, kind of like this. Illidan was like, I want to do the good thing, but you're not gonna like how I'm gonna do it. And I thought that's actually pretty cool, because Uther was always like growing up with the Warcraft 2, I think, the first time he showed up. I don't know if it was in 1. And I was like, oh, this is like the paragon of justice and order and whatever. And now he's all of a sudden like, fuck you guys, I want my vengeance. No, I want my justice. I'm sorry, justice, I said.
I said justice. I didn't mean
But yeah, it feels like it's not over, and if they don't build up, I feel like they just use it as a poster boy to like hook people with Shadowlands, and that's kind of like scammy, sketchy. But I do hope that, I don't know, maybe the Bastion story is gonna be developed in like, I don't know, something like 9.3, because I have a feeling that maybe the Maw is the last raid that we're ever gonna get, something there. Raid the Jailer or whatever.
That we're ever gonna get. It's like game over. Okay. Huh.
Speaking of the Maw, can we all agree that Venari is the best character they created in like since, I don't know, Wang Samdi maybe?
Oh yeah, I like her dialogue lines and her subtext. If you read her, she's like, it seems like she's. It's too much to say this, but it feels like she's the only intelligent character in the game. I don't know
so
why.
Cunning, so mysterious, so nasty.
Because she's like, okay, I know what you're saying, and you know what I'm saying. Why are we bullshitting? I feel like that's kind of Venari's attitude. It's like, all right, we never had that before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, all of these, right? We got the Covenant stories and whatever, and I know you don't do speculation, Nobbel, too much. But, you know, let's just use our creative juices here. And I'm going to ask you this. So, what do you think 9.3 will look like, story-wise? And just, you know, go all out, go freestyle.
And we're talking 9.3 like endgame, yeah? That's the end of the expansion.
Yes.
Last patch.
All right, by the end of the expansion, Anduin has been turned into a Death Knight similar to Arthas, wielding Shalamorn.
Hello.
And Uther will be introduced into that storyline to try and bring back Anduin to the light side. He failed his student once before, that's been dropped in a Maw, and after having some interesting conversations with Arthas, Uther realized, like, this is my next shot, so he is going to try and mentor Anduin back to the light side. Bolvar is also going to assist in this, considering the history between Anduin and Bolvar. In the meantime, the Jailer has been absolutely wrecking business. Ouroboros is shattered. The veil between this world and the next is even wider. And slowly but surely, the Jailer is trying to make his way out. He thinks that he has won the championship of the different powers of the cosmic charts. Except what he didn't count upon was Sylvanas' love for Nephanos. The Jailer refusing to bring Nephanos out of the Maw and back to the beloved Banshee Queen, as well as Anduin's words towards her, has placed Sylvanas on the path, not so much of redemption, but more so like, this Jailer guy, whoops, he kind of is the bad guy. So Sylvanas has been on a quest together with Tyrande, where they've become best buddies. A quest of vengeance, because it wasn't Sylvanas' fault all along, it was actually the Jailer. So Tyrande is like, okay, Banshee Queen, I'll work together with you for a little while. So they are on a mission together to try and slow down the Jailer. Meanwhile, Illidan, together with Sargeras at the seat of the Pantheon, Illidan, after kicking Sargeras in the nuts for quite a while, Sargeras has been cleansed of the corruption, you know, he's been converted by the Dreadlords. Dreadlords are actually agents of the Jailer. They told Sargeras about the corruption of the Void, how there was the need of the Burning Legion. But considering Azeroth was the final planet with the old gods inside of them, there is no need for the Burning Legion. There is no need to fear the Void Lords. Rather, we could stand together with a united Azeroth. Speaking of Azeroth, the Titan spirit has been said to be even stronger than Sargeras itself. So by the time the Jailer comes out of the Maw, like this massive rip in the sky, Sargeras and Illidan, they fly to Azeroth. Sylvanas and Tyrande in the running with Anduin and Uther and whatnot. And Azeroth itself wakes up and she yoinks like that sword out of her back and she's like, "Hi, Jailer! Thank you for coming out of the Shadowlands." And then they start this big epic conflict, and that is the next expansion, The Great Dark Beyond, because we're going to explore more planets. That's the end expansion.
Hey, but did you plan this? Was this written somewhere? What the fuck
it felt like years of repressed speculation and tensions. Like, it was like, hey man, I know you don't do speculations a lot, but can you like? And I was like, is Nobbel gonna talk a lot
those
about
are your words. I speculate a whole lot.
Holy shit!
Stream or videos. It's like, I'll spit some ideas. Why not?
Just a few. Dude, that's actually so cool. Can you imagine if Blizzard actually takes the story into this direction? I'm gonna be entirely disappointed if they're not.
Dude.
But oh man, like
Did you, dude? Do you have all this written down? Was this like freestyle all the way? You did.
I mean, this is just freestyle bringing ideas together. Like, for me, the ending of Battle for Azeroth should have been Azeroth waking up with the sword out of her back and be like, hey, what up, Sargeras? But that never happened. So they can just use it in this expansion. Easy. And the Anduin Charlemagne bit, I mean, once we saw that cutscene with Charlemagne, I would love, because for those unaware, there's a cutscene from the Tower of Torghast where Charlemagne has been turned into Shalamorn, like it's been a Morn weapon. And there's like this big-ass soap opera cliffhanger ending, where Sylvanas needs to make a choice. Like, is she going to convert Anduin to their side? Is she going to let him go? And I think we're going to see Shalamorn in action, and I think Anduin is going to be converted even for a little bit. That is supported by a whisper from Il'gynoth, which says, the boy king will serve at the master's table.
Ha!
But
Yes.
I don't think Sylvanas is going to make that call. I think the jailer is going to remove that option and just force Anduin into this. Because during the Torghast questline, there's this whole idea of the jailer. If he figures out what we know, he might discard his playthings. And he knows what we know. He comes out of the helmet. He knows what Bolvar saw. So I wouldn't put it past the jailer to actually enforce that future upon Anduin, which in turn makes Sylvanas reflect upon Arthas that enforced this path upon her. And just realizing that she has not only been working with an Arthas, but the source behind Arthas. So yeah, I'm quite curious where the story's gonna go.
so like all of the points were like so cool because like I was thinking, okay, they can make Anduin Lich King. Oh, the Sylvanas might actually turn out to be our way to get rid of the jailer and stuff like that. But that wall was disconnected from every other character, so I didn't really in my mind didn't really make all the connections. And I always thought that the Sylvanas cannot be Garrosh. And Sylvanas cannot be Illidan because it's way too much. And I'm a big sucker for love, man. And when you said that, because you could feel her in the cinematics, like we don't even get to choose, and then she stopped. That was like,
yeah.
Oh no, don't. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. And I don't think they ever made a plot twist or a plot that can be influenced by actual romantic love, and that would be so cool because I would not have expected that. I would have expected, although I wouldn't have liked it for Sylvanas to be like, you don't understand me, I want death for all, and we kill her in the raid boss, or I was doing the right thing all along and you didn't see it, Illidan thing all along. But the love part is like, that's such a good point that they can make. I think they should definitely exploit that part of the game, because why not? We need more love.
Everybody needs more love. But I want to circle back a little bit. Nobbel, you put in Tyrande in this whole future thing. So do you actually think the way they built her up, because they basically turned all of her story to be like this hunter for Sylvanas. So do you actually think there's gonna be
She's Maiev to her Illidan.
I mean,
nothing without the hunt. Like, what do I think? What's going to happen to Tyrande? Like the whole Tyrande Sylvanas team up was a bit of a joke there. If I had to make a more realistic guess as to what happened to Tyrande, that would be connected to the Arnewield Nightfey campaign. During the Nightfey campaign, we look for other Night Warriors of the past.
Yes.
We try to figure out what happened to Tyrande.
Yes.
And at the end of it, Hohenheim Mountain goes on the hunt for more souls, and we can all hold hands, kumbaya, share the powers of Elune, and try to save Tyrande, because the Night Warrior is consuming her.
Yep.
To that, we also got a sister of the Winter Queen, and there's a bit of a debate about who exactly this sister is. Some are pointing towards Eonar, because there's this memory of Eonar and a couple of other reasons. I'm personally more of the mindset of it being Elune. Elune connected to the domain of life, whereas the Winter Queen is the domain of death. That's because the whole Ysera resurrection, dying at the Temple of Elune, the connection to the Night Warrior. There's a whole bunch of Elune factors.
Yeah.
But pretty much it's a toss-up right now. It's pretty much comes down to, okay, which direction does Blizzard want to go? Not to mention, I find it way more interesting to go into the Elune storytelling rather than going back to the Titan storytelling, because we already kind of did that. So in the case of Tyrande, it's a classic story of vengeance consumes you, and right now she's apparently running the endless layers of Torghast. I don't know if you guys finished it, but that is some torment right there.
Oh yeah.
It is not fun to go through.
No.
But I think we're going to go into the domain of life in one of the patches. We're gonna deal with the Winter Queen's sister. We're gonna deal with the Night Warrior storyline, and potentially save Tyrande from being consumed by it. I doubt that they would let Tyrande die because of it. Although it is not entirely impossible. She has been around for quite a while.
Man.
Malfurion is gonna cry in the ashes of Teldrassil, though.
What the fuck is
if
Malfurion?
Legion is any indication.
Where is Malfurion anyways?
Yeah,
You're like,
that's
Tyrande, my love, and she's like out of there.
Yeah, Malfurion should be the first one.
He's probably partying with the boys that he's free.
Dude, where?
Probably having a nap again in the Emerald Dream.
But what made you like speculate the thing with Sargeras and Illidan? That's interesting. Nobody, I didn't hear nobody talk about them. And there's also the sword in Azeroth. Like, what do we do with that? What's up with that?
Well, the reasoning behind the Sargeras speculation is mainly because ever since the Cataclysm, where they made the decisive call of dragons can no longer reproduce and the aspects are over, they got back on that decision. And they were like, we don't want such a closure. In case we want to bring it back into the story later, we don't want to shut down windows and doors. We want to keep it a little bit open. And in the case of the Sargeras storyline, that's exactly what happened. He's been imprisoned at the seat of the Pantheon. Illidan stayed behind there. But if you look back at the whole reasoning why Sargeras started his Burning Legion, that is because of the corruption of the Void Lords.
Yeah.
Because of the old gods shut out into the universe. And he was like, if they take over, things are going to go bad. I might as well purge it so that maybe it has a chance to regrow. But to all sources, the old gods are gone. We got Blizzard interviews that say the old gods have been purged from Azeroth. Different sources that say that Azeroth was the last one that the old gods tried to claim. Or the last one to wake up. My apologies. Yeah. So there is no specific reason for Sargeras to be afraid of a Titan spirit being corrupted, but there is still the Void Lords out there. So why wouldn't he become an ally again if they're able to cleanse him? Especially because they added the lines of Azeroth is even speculated to be stronger than Sargeras. Sargeras having an eye on Azeroth, a bit of a power couple right there. That sword is indeed still sticking out of her. I wouldn't be surprised, or at least I would love it if Sargeras comes back into the storyline and stands with us in the Great Dark Beyond against the Void Lords battle and all that good stuff.
How about when Azeroth wakes up, she pulls the sword out of her and uses it?
That's cleanses.
I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something, because you did say that maybe we don't need to fight the Void Lords after all, and we've heard other speculations that maybe the Void Lords are not like the worst thing in the universe. I don't know if that's exactly how you feel, or maybe I understood that wrong. But if the Void Lords are not like
it's specifically about the old gods that were shut out. Apparently, the old gods have been cleansed from Titan-infected worlds, or Titan-populated worlds, and that was the whole plan of the Void Lords. The Void Lords themselves are still out there, and in the great cosmic charge where all these powers are trying to topple each other, they are still definitely a threat.
Oh, that's what I wanted to get to, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're still playing an RPG, so we need an antagonist, like a wall to overcome to feel the growth of our character. And I always felt like that the ultimate wall would be the Void Lords, and if they're not like the enemy, then that would be a little bit weird. But also another question that I found this interesting is, because I know that a lot of people talk about this, that the Dreadlords corrupted Sargeras. So the Dreadlords were basically the ones that infused them with Fel, because I mean, is Sargeras corrupted by Fel, and that would be cleansed? And if then the Dreadlords are the servants of the Jailer, then what does Fel have to do with the Jailer then? Because Fel is the magic that destroys.
We're getting a couple of ideas. A couple of old lore and new lore are now mixed together. The idea behind the Dreadlords is originally we thought that they just came from the Twisted Nether and they were part of the original Demon Crew. But there's a book that you can find in Revendreth which suggests or pitches the idea that the Dreadlords come from the domain of death rather than the domain of disorder, Nether. Yeah. there's this cosmic war in Warcraft where the different powers, life, death, order, disorder, void, and light, they want to topple each other. It's like a tug of war. And balance is important. So death has infiltrated disorder. Then the corruption of Sargeras by the Fel. In Ye Olden lore, it was actually the Eridar, if I remember correctly, that corrupted Sargeras. That has then been changed to Sargeras just looked out at the darkness of the world, and he became very emo, and he was like, what's the point? It's all just dark. Can't take it anymore. And that eventually bursted forth, and it was like, he's corrupted. With the Chronicles, what happened is Sargeras figured out that all the demons, they would just go back to the Twisted Nether and just keep on respawning. So he built them a prison world called Mardum. That is where they locked up all the demons. It's the demon hunter starting place. He burst that planet open because he wanted to form his Burning Legion, and all that Fel went like whoosh, and that is why he's now infused with the Fel.
Yeah. It's pretty common knowledge, Flame. I don't know what you're about. It's all good. Man, I got so geeked out on this version. If this happens like this and it ends out like this, would be so good. And there's a lot of arcs that they need to like give closure to, right? Because they started, a lot of them actually started from Legion. Most of them got kind of distorted a bit in BFA. You didn't really know exactly what the fuck is up. Because if you remember, initially in BFA, we kind of thought that it was a fourth war, but we didn't know for sure that, Sylvanas was actually trying to get all these people killed to get souls into the maw. I guess we can conclude that that was the main purpose, right? To feed off souls into the maw because of this war. And now we're looking at this whole grand scheme of things where, and we didn't talk at all about the light. They had this, where was it? Was it in the Magar campaign where Irel became like this super fanatic? And now if we go on the Ravendread, we see a Naru who has forsaken the light or has been part of a war and has been captured and serving the Ravendread. And you see the light piercing through and burning the Ravendread. But what's that about? Is it part of this cosmic war that's happening and struggle?
A part of it, yeah. Basically, what's been happening is in the older lore, light was like the pure good force.
Exactly.
And the light was like this good force, and evil, beware, there is light. Then over time, they evolved the storyline. In Legion, we saw Zeta, if I remember right, being very dominant about the light. Like, you better embrace my way or it's the highway. And from that example, people were like, ooh, the light is actually really evil. And I'm personally more of the mindset of, no, this is from Zeta, the prime Naru. There is more to the light than just good or evil. And then in the Magar campaign, like you mentioned, Alternate Draenor, we find out that the Draenei are on this holy crusade because they got the Naru behind them and they believe that the orcs messed up the planet. But I personally find that the Magar recruitment scenario didn't give solid conclusions, solid answers, because we don't know exactly what happened in Alternate Draenor. I would love it if Yril and the Draenei are on this holy crusade, even though it was never meant to be, and the orcs are actually the good guys. I would love that storyline. But if you look at the stories and the hints that they're giving, I don't think that there's a solid conclusion yet, as in, oh yeah, the light is pure evil, the light is pure good. And at the end of the day, good or evil also comes down to intent. The light never cared if you were a good person or a bad person. The light always reacted to conviction. Take the Scarlet Crusaders, for example. They wouldn't be considered in the grand scheme of things as the good guys, and yet they can wield the light just perfectly fine. So there's more nuance to it. There's more background besides, yeah, light is good, the rest is bad. And the cosmic war is everything. Like, there will always be powers trying to trump each other. Whereas the light, I believe, sees one single path as the truth. The void sees 1,000 different possibilities. And at the end of the day, you need both in order to see true vision, in order to see true purpose. Yeah. Not to mention that we got the Illyria Turallion storyline. If you've read the novel Shadows Rising, we actually find out that our boy Turallion and Lady Illyria that's been infused the void, they're quite a power couple. Whereas Turallion chains people up with the light, and then Illyria infiltrates their mind with the void to find her answers. It's gruesome, and it's a really cool storyline they can build upon.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
And there's so much to unpack, but we have to respect Nobbel's time. We're marking in the hour here. I think we could talk for like days and days and
I
days
would hang
about
out
this.
all day long, but
Yeah.
I got coach waiting for me like 15 minutes, so I gotta be there on time, which is like 5 minutes, guys. Normally I'm more relaxed about it, but not when other people are waiting for me.
Of course,
Hey
of
man,
course.
plenty more episodes, plenty more seasons to go.
Oh, yeah,
if you know what I mean.
We're gonna get Nobbel in more. But guys, in case you didn't know, just check out Nobbel on twitch.tv/Nobbel87, youtube.com/Nobbel87, Twitter /Nobbel87. There's a lot of Nobbel87. Okay, just Google it. All right, chat.
Just ignore the other 86, all right? They're the bad ones. Just go for 87.
87, that's a very good year. All right, Nobbel, thank you so much once again for joining. It's been amazing, and I'm geeked out as fuck. We're gonna leave you to it. Go and do your thing. Being healthy, being fit, getting all that proper juices.
Learn from Nobbel, guys.
Gains!
And I think we can close it off now. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this. Was a much more WoW focused episode because we had a lot to talk about, especially with Nobbel. Man,
And then if you
Didn't
want
even get the BlizzCon either. Like BlizzCon on the horizon.
yeah, there's so much to talk about.
We'll have to talk about next time.
Yeah, maybe we can do a summary after that. But guys, if you haven't watched our first episode with Nobbel, if you want to find out more about the person, you can check the episode on our channel on youtube.com/Marcel9 and all of the platforms that we put our podcast on, and definitely watch that one as well. And then we go more into personal stuff. Right now, we're just talking nerd shit.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to see you next Monday with a brand new guest. Have a great week ahead.
Still I play WoW. Still I play WoW.